Whoa, what's good with your YouTube and YouTube busters? Your boy Triple Cup Chuck and I'm up. And appreciate you for coming rock with me, like, sharing, and subscribing. And if you have an opinion about the situation that's going on, leave a comment below. I'm gonna read it. Because when you comment, our collective minds put together, we bring synergy. This how we starting the video off? I have a question. Have you ever seen a hater or a person with a biased opinion, facial expressions change right in front of your face on camera? I did, and I had a proof of how biased the media is against Andrew Yang. You want to see? Let's do this.
So the question is, what is the vision? When you first heard about me in the campaign, you heard something like this. There's an Asian man running for president who wants to give everyone $1,000 a month. Remember that? Remember the first time you heard that? Nothing like the first time, am I right, New Hampshire? And the first time you heard it, it sounded like a gimmick. It's like, haha, like that will never happen. But this is not my idea. Thomas Paine was for this at the founding of the country. He called it the citizen's dividend. Martin Luther King fought for this in the 60s. He called it the guaranteed minimum income for all Americans. And it is what he was fighting for on the day he was assassinated in 1968. 1,000 economists endorsed it, and it was so mainstream that it passed the US House of Representatives twice in 1971 under Richard Nixon, the Family Assistance Plan. Came this close. And then 11 years later, it actually did pass in one state where now everyone in that state gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. And what state is that? Alaska. And how does Alaska pay for it? Oil. And what is the oil of the 21st century? Technology, software, data, self-driving cars and trucks. A study just came out, if you saw The Great Hack on Netflix, you remember this. A study just came out that said our data is now worth more than oil. Did you see that? Do you all remember getting your data check in the mail? I don't. Where did the data check go? I'll tell you. It went to Facebook, Amazon, Google, Netflix, and the rest of the gang, who again are paying zero or near zero in taxes. So this is the true nature of the 21st century economy, that this data dividend that we should all be getting instead is getting spirited off into the cloud to multinational tech companies that will pay zero back into the system. So after I'm president, thanks to you all, thank you New Hampshire. After I'm president, we pass the freedom dividend. How would you spend $1,000 a month in real life after it starts getting deposited into your account? Tuition, healthcare, food, was that cleaning, savings, cleaning, housing? How much of it would stay right here in New Hampshire? The vast majority of it. A little bit of it would float up to the cloud. You would upgrade your Netflix subscription and get like an extra Amazon goodie. But most of it would stay right here in New Hampshire. It would go to car repairs you've been putting off, and daycare expenses, and Little League signups, and nonprofits, and arts organizations. This is the trickle-up economy from our people, our families, and our communities up. Is particularly powerful for rural areas that are getting depleted systematically in this economy. Creates a genuine path forward and also gives our children a chance to live the kind of life that they want in an environment of their choosing instead of feeling like they have to go to certain places.
These are some of the things that Andrew Yang is bringing to the table. I let him give his introduction to himself because can't nobody explain Andrew Yang like Andrew Yang can explain Andrew Yang. Now with that being said, I was sitting back checking out the debates, and I'm going to bring out more videos like this here where they was doing like interviews, and I'm going to dissect it. And with this in particular one, we're going to be going into straight wide haters and people that's already biased. Facial expressions change right in front of your face. Man, Andrew Yang did his thing. When you see this I'm gonna say when you see it, you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and get to the first video, and then we're gonna recap it
tonight. It's an interesting topic within the Democratic primary, and there seemed to be a debate over whether attacking people that make a lot of money is a good idea.
You know, this is an issue where progressives tend to be united around the wealth tax. I thought it was interesting everybody had a different take on it and their own plan for it, right? I think the shining moment was Tom Steyer, a billionaire himself, saying, I agree with you, Bernie, take my money, please. Everybody's favorite rich uncle, right? Take my money. And I think that was a really good, kind of solid show of support for the fact that if a billionaire will support a wealth tax, then maybe we can get there, right? I was really surprised, and I don't know what you thought, Mary Alice, about Yang's proposal, a value-added tax, which when he described it sounded a lot like a wealth tax to me. I think they're using different terminology, but they're all saying the same thing.
We've seen Republicans accuse Democrats of picking different kinds of villains, saying that Democrats villainize the 1%. And we saw some Democrats on that stage start to make that argument too.
I would have been offended by that statement, but I actually have heard people make this same exact statement. A lot of are Bernie Sanders supporters. Now, a lot of them, when they heard of Andrew Yang, they only hear just the outskirts about what's going on with Andrew Yang, and they get Andrew Yang's UBI confused with Bernie Sanders. I forgot exactly what he called it, but when he's talking about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and basically, you know, nobody be left behind. Whatever his is. See, like, I don't really know exactly what Bernie called his. That's exactly what the people that's a part of the Bernie camp know about the UBI. So a lot of people, when they be explaining or they hear it, they confuse it with Bernie Sanders. So Andrew Yang, when he be speaking about UBI, and a lot of people get frustrated with him saying it all the time and trying to put a stamp on his flagship, because it's simple, his flagship proposal, and it's simply because if he don't do it, then sooner or later somebody else is going to start pinching at it and taking away and getting the credibility of it. Like the whole conversation about the jobs and the manufacturing with the companies and stuff like that, and how Roblox is supposed to be coming and take over. That was not a conversation until Andrew Yang brought it to the front table. There's a couple things that Andrew Yang brought to the front table, but he's not getting the credit or the recognition, and the media is not saying. So with that being said, this here is my thoughts of why I feel like Andrew Yang need to keep talking about UBI, but he need to explain to the Yang game, or the people that know of the Yang game and that's very familiar with who Andrew Yang is, why he have to keep repeating himself about the UBI and still be able to present all his other policies. Well, we're finna go ahead and continue this video. Let's go. Let's do this.
Working families dreaming big and fighting hard. And I think that came across very clearly tonight.
We were just talking about this question of middle-class taxes and her health care proposal. And there was that moment when Bernie Sanders came out and said, my plan will raise taxes on the middle class. Let's just say it. And Pete Buttigieg jumped in there. Why does she stick to the answer that she does? And do you think she needs to be as clear as Bernie?
Because she can reassure people that healthcare costs will, yes, they'll go up for the richest people and the big corporations. Costs will go down for working families and folks who, you know, she spent much of her career studying why people go bankrupt in this country. You've heard the story before. Why people go bankrupt, and the biggest reason is because of healthcare costs. That is causing people to go bankrupt in this country and lose everything they have. Right now, in my district alone, children suffering from type 2 diabetes, their parents can't afford insulin, right? This is a life-saving drug. She understands it. And
she believes that those costs can come down. Last question for you, as her surrogate, could you guarantee middle-class families worried about all this, listening to Bernie Sanders, that at the end of the day, the net expense to them out of their pocket will be less with the tax increase and the cost reductions in her plan? They won't be paying more out of pocket at the end of the day?
No, I don't think they will be paying more out of pocket.
You know,
nobody can. No,
I can't guarantee.
I can't guarantee anything, but I believe in Senator Warren. I believe in her. I believe in the plans that she has for this country. I believe that the richest people and the big corporations, they should pay their fair share. And those of us, like myself, a single mom on food stamps prior to, this, yes,
Deb Haaland, thank
we
you
need
so
to
much.
pay less.
Representative of the great
you.
state of New Mexico,
Thank
on
you.
behalf of Elizabeth Warren, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. And we're
I just think she overtalked herself. If you notice the expression on her face at the end, she showed a little bit of shame when she mentioned she used to be on food stamps. But there's nothing to be ashamed of. She was able to show how she has came and overcome and where she's standing at right now. And when she was talking about these big corporations and the money and they paying their fair share, the point that she was making, the point I'm going to make is the counter to that point. If you know, big corporations, they only only care about money, they bottom dollar, making a quota. And when you have to abide by these rules and regulations, this is the main goal. If a product costs more, you're going to sell it for more because you want to make that same quota. You got to reach that same bottom dollar. And we could do a million, billion different examples for that, but the core is that. Anyway, when she was speaking about the Medicare and she was talking about Elizabeth Warren, I understand that she's more a fan of Elizabeth Warren, but she don't have the best ideas when it comes to health care for all. She have a great idea, but if you want to know more about her, you have to go to a channel that's talk about her. But this is more, yeah, I'm selfish. This is strictly about Andrew Yang right now. So when she was speaking, if you really notice, she like a person that haven't heard of Andrew Yang, or they know just little of Andrew Yang. But I could almost bet as the primary go on and we get to the next debate, you're going to start seeing her slowly but surely start to become a part of the Yang gang. I mean, the Yang gang, we know we all come from different backgrounds, different policies, different politics, and Democrats and Republicans, all the different angles. So you know that when we see the transformation, we see it because we was once going through the same format. So with that being said, we finna get to the last video, and this is the expression I was talking about. See, the other one was an expression, but it was she needed to be overcoming. Now this expression, check it out. She gonna be talking snobby about Andrew Yang, and once she finished talking shabby about Andrew Yang, when he come out to introduce himself and he speak and he talk to her about the policies that he have and the difference between his Bernie Sanders policy and Andrew Yang's true UBI policy, and you can see the facial expressions on the face start changing when he say, okay, that don't account for the women that's not working like his wife. And then she looked like, oh, watch the baby expression, because she had that little attitude like she thought Andrew Yang was a joke. Now that's how you know that it's media bias. But facial expressions rarely lie. You have to be a professional at facial expression line, and this is truly genuine. You can't fake this here. You can fake what you want to say, but you can't fake these expressions. I bet you she gonna be a part of the Yang gang sooner or later. She gonna come to her senses. If not, she just gonna be a biased hater. Hey, I just said it. If she not a biased hater, she would have gave him equal opportunity, because she actually, I didn't put this in there, but she gonna talk about the person that was non-memorable. She named Andrew Yang, and from that point on, she on my hit list. Well, check out the last part of the video. I might have an extra part after this that have that, but we finna go ahead and get to it. Let's go.
Going to be joined now by Andrew Yang, the businessman who has created quite a movement. Here he is, no tie, the math pin. Andrew Yang, it's good to see you again.
See you.
Yvette Simpson here at ABC News. How'd you feel up there tonight?
It felt great. We talked about the fourth industrial revolution. Joe said it's a major problem. We talked about how we need to have a dividend for all Americans, and Tulsi embraced it. Other people said they're open to it. We have to solve the real problems that got Donald Trump elected, primarily the fact that we blasted away 4 million manufacturing jobs in the swing states.
There was a lot of talk tonight about minimum wage, and I want to get your take on that. Do you think there should be a federal minimum wage? Where would you put that?
I think no one should be working full-time and be poor in this country. And right now, the federal minimum wage is well below the poverty line in a lot of the country. But to me, if we have a dividend of $1,000 a month, it's an effective raise of $6 an hour right into people's hands. It also recognizes caregivers and parents and nurturers. It's broader than a minimum wage, because a minimum wage would do nothing for women like my wife who are at home with the kids.
So would it be instead of a minimum wage or in addition to a minimum wage?
To me, it would be in addition to, but $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year would be a game changer for tens of millions of American families, and would be an effective $6 an hour raise for every worker.
A lot of people really drawn to the freedom dividend. It has amassed quite the following, as you know well. How do you get Mitch McConnell to fund that if you get into the White House, assuming it's still a Republican Senate?
Well, this is a great thing. There is one state that has a dividend right now. Everyone there gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, and that state is Alaska, which is a deep red state. There's a Republican governor. So after I'm president, the Democrats will be so pumped to get Donald Trump out, and they'll know, let's pass a dividend. It's going to make children and families stronger and healthier. But then the Republicans are going to look up and say, wait a minute, am I against the dividend? It helps rural areas. It helps red states on the interior. it doesn't create a new bureaucracy. It just puts more economic freedom in the hands of Americans. And I don't need 80% of Congress. I just need 51%. You'll see the dividend will bring the country together because everyone is excited about it.
Last question for you is on impeachment. We've talked about it on my show in the past.
Yeah.
You've kind of been lukewarm on it. You came out in favor of it after sort of being on the fence for a while, not thinking it's more divisive in America than productive. Do you think where we stand right now, there's enough evidence on the table to go ahead and hold a vote on impeachment, or is there more you want to know?
Oh, I'm pro-impeachment, but at the same time, we have to know that anytime we're talking about Donald Trump, we are not spending time creating a positive vision that gets Americans excited. And that's how we're going to move the country forward in 2020. That's how we're going to beat Donald Trump. If all of our attention is focused on Donald Trump, unfortunately, that's just going to play to his advantage in the general election.
Andrew Yang, thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Great to see you
sir.
both.
Good luck out there on the trail. We're going to take a short.
Okay, that's what it was. When he mentioned Alaska, that's when her facial expressions changed. And before that, when she looked at the dude that was interviewing him, she gave him that look like, gotcha. And then when he responded, Andrew Yang, and he finished with Alaska. Just remember those key words. When the words Alaska roll off of Andrew Yang's mouth, man, the look on her face, priceless. Well, this your boy, Triple Cup Chuck. Man, I appreciate